Hello everyone, welcome to your dosage and prescription writing session. In this session, we're going to learn how to write dosages and a prescription for acetaminophen and ibuprofen, which will help you on the wards, the clinic, and also on your OSCE Part 2, where you have to tell the mom the dosage of a medication that she needs to give to her child, and also your SOAP note, where you have to write out the prescription. All right, so let's start with acetaminophen. You always need to know three things in order to do dosage. You need to know the dose, the concentration, and the weight. Okay, the dose for acetaminophen is 10 to 15 milligrams per kilogram per dose. The concentration is 160 milligrams per 5 mLs, or that's also known as a teaspoon. But yeah, once again, we're talking about liquid dosages here since these are for infants. Okay, and you need to know the weight for the patient. So in our sample case, let's say the patient weighs 6 kilograms. Of course, you know, a thing to note is sometimes parents tell you things in pounds because that's how they know their kids. And you need to remember that 1 kilogram equals 2.2 pounds. Okay, you need to be able to make sure you can do that calculation as well. All right, so in this situation, let's say we take a 6 kilogram kid and we're doing 10 to 15 milligrams per kilogram per dose. And let's say we choose 10 milligrams per kilogram. Okay, and then we choose the dose, which is 160 milligrams per 5 mLs. Okay, and when we put this all together, we're going to come out with, and by the way, you will get a calculator on the OSCE. Okay, and you get 1.875 mLs. All right, well, that's a really crazy amount of mLs, like a lot of decimals there. So I mean, if you put 1.9 mLs, you'll be fine. Even if you said 2 mLs, you'll be fine. Okay. So when mom says how much to give, you're going to say you are going to give 2 mLs of acetaminophen of this concentration. Now imagine, you know, but we also said it's a range, 10 to 15 here. So what if we did 6 kilograms times 15 milligrams per kilogram times 5 mLs per 160 milligrams, 2.81 mLs. So if you say 2.8 mLs, you'll be fine. Okay. So technically, the kid could get anywhere between 1.9 and 2.8 mLs, because that would be between that dosage there. So let's just do another example just to sort of drive things home. Let's say the mom tells you the kid is 15 pounds, right? So the first thing you do is you go, okay, well, there's 1 kilogram equals 2.2 pounds. Let's say it's 6.8 kilograms, all right? Now you take 6.8 kilograms, you multiply by, once again, let's go with 10 milligrams per kilogram. Let's go with that dosage, and 5 mLs per 160 milligrams. All right, we're going to move on to ibuprofen now. It's going to be the exact same concept, just with a different medication and different dosage. So we need to know the dosage again, the concentration, and the weight. For the dosage, this one, it's 5 to 10 milligrams per kilogram per dose. You'll notice 10 milligrams is actually 10 milligrams per kilogram per dose is the dose you need for ibuprofen. It's the dose you need for acetaminophen. So if you memorize that number, you'll be fine. Concentration. There's a couple different concentrations, and we'll actually practice with a couple. 100 milligrams per 5 mLs, and also 50 milligrams per 1.25 mLs. Okay. one's an infant, one's a child's. And let's say the weight, once again, is 6 kilos. So let's go ahead and calculate the ibuprofen dose that a mom needs to give here. 6 kilograms times 5 milligrams per kilogram times 5 mLs per 100 milligrams. And that comes out to be 1.5 mLs. So yeah, you can give 1.5 mLs of this concentration of ibuprofen, or you could also, we'll go with a 10 milligram per kilogram dose now. And that ends up being 3 mLs. So you can give anywhere between 1.5 to 3 mLs of this 100 milligram per 5 ml concentration. Now let's say you actually had only this one. So we'll practice with that one here. So let's go 6 kilograms times 5 milligrams per kilogram times 1.25 mLs per 50 milligrams. Okay, and that equals 0.75 mLs. And we'll do that with the 10 milligram per kilogram dose now. And that equals 1.5 mLs. You see how you can't give the same amount for different concentrations. Okay. Now you've done it for both ibuprofen and acetaminophen for a 6 kilogram kid. It can happen for any weight. It works for any weight. And remember just to have as long as you remember 1, 2, 3 here, you should be fine. All right. So we'll just practice one more here. Let's go with one more for acetaminophen. And let's say the kid is now 12 kilograms. All right. So how would you calculate that? And I'll give you guys, feel free to practice writing this out. Feel free to pause the video and write it out and come up with the answer. All right, well, now that you've had a chance to try it, let's go ahead and go 12 kilograms times the dose, which is 10 milligrams per kilogram, times the concentration, which is 160 milligrams per 5 mLs. And you're like, wait, this doesn't make sense. So we actually have to erase this here and go back to 5 mLs per 160 milligrams. So that comes out to be 3.75 mLs. All right. So you tell the mom, okay, give 3.75 mLs of this. All right. So now you've been able to calculate the dosage, and you have to do this pretty quickly on your OSCE. But if you practice on the rotation, it's literally punching a couple numbers into a calculator, and you'll be fine. All right. Next up, we're going to be doing a prescription. And we're going to be giving acetaminophen. And we just determined it was going to be 3.75 mLs worth, right? So if you're writing a prescription, you might go with take acetaminophen, 3.75 mLs, and you might say in parentheses 160 milligrams per 5 mLs so that the pharmacist knows the concentration you're using. And then you're going to say you have to talk about the route, which is PO. And how often? Let's go with Q4 hours. And then you're going to write for the indication, which is PRN. And then you're going to say fever greater than 100.4. Okay. You might go, oh, that's good enough. But don't forget, you actually need to include how much to give. The pharmacist needs to know how much to give. A typical bottle, by the way, is 118 mLs. But it could be any amount. If you want to give 30 mLs, that's okay. You're the doctor. You get to decide. And not only dispense, you're also going to refill. So you might say how many refills you want. You can say 0, you can say 1, you can say 2. It's just funny how those write those, or 3. Okay, so any of these is fine. You're the doctor. Once again, you get to decide. So now when we're looking at a prescription, you need to have all these elements. You have the name, the dose, the concentration, the route, the frequency, the indication. It's not always PRN. The amount to dispense, and the refill. So we'll be looking for all 8 elements when you write your prescription. All right, now I'm actually going to give you guys one final thing to practice here, just to make sure you've cemented this down. So let's say we want to prescribe some acetaminophen, and the kid weighs 5 kilograms. Okay. Don't forget, we said the concentration for acetaminophen is 160 milligrams per 5 mLs, and the dosage typically 10 to 15 milligrams per kilogram per dose. So I'm going to have you guys pause your video, go ahead and try to write out a prescription for acetaminophen. Now that you've had a chance to practice on your own, we're going to go ahead and write out this prescription. So 5 kilograms times, let's go with 15 milligrams per kilogram here, times 5 mLs per 160 milligrams. Okay, that's like 2.3 mLs. All right, so now we're going to write take acetaminophen, 2.3 mLs of the 160 milligrams per 5 ml concentration by mouth, PO. Q, once again, let's go 6 hours this time. And PRN, fevers greater than 100.4. And then you're going to say dispense 60 mLs. And you're going to say refill 2. All right. Once again, you can put whatever numbers you want here. That doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, of course, but it has more to do with your discretion. But once again, you'll notice 1, the medication name, the dose, the concentration, the route, the frequency, the indication, how much to dispense, and how much to refill. So once again, you have to have all 8 components. All right. Well, if you've got any more questions about this, feel free to reach out. But hopefully this has been helpful for you to both do dosages and prescriptions.